It's that time, and time to talk to the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, Scott Pioli. First of all, congratulations. If my calculations are right, this is your 20th NFL draft.
20th draft. 20th draft. Yeah, it's hard to believe. There's a lot of years gone by now, but it's not necessarily in this role.
How do you approach this draft, considering this environment?
It's not any different, because the draft is always going to be the draft. You still have an idea of what some of the holes on your team might be, regardless of how things are. So the draft is the draft. The way you prepare for the draft, the process that you go through, all the things that you need to do are still being done the same way. And that process is just so time consuming. There's not a lot of time to think about the what ifs. This is standard business for us in terms of draft preparation.
What's important to you when you evaluate a guy?
The first thing is game tape. And again, you're going to get, what did the player do for the 3 years or 4 years, or some of them 5 years, and there's even a couple guys 6 years they were at school. The bottom line is that these players, what they're going to do for us is play football. And understanding in different seasons and or different games that there might be different dynamics affecting their performance, whether it's the level of competition, whether it's injury. There's a lot of things that can affect the performance, but you still get to see them play football, which is the bottom line. Now, the other elements of this are really important. You know, you've got the combine, which you get some physical testing numbers, you get to meet with them and interview them, you get to spend time, getting some critical medical information. Each one of the pieces of the process are really important, but the most significant one to me is, how does the guy play football? And when you spend time to see them on tape or in practice, to see some of the other things that you don't normally see, those are the most important components, I believe.
You've made a career of finding the gems. There's potential gems in this 2011 class?
There are, and I'm not going to tell you. There are. Phrasing that way and saying that I've made a career finding gems, one of the few disagreements you and I will ever have. It's the finding of gems is a group thing. Anytime that I think a gem is found, it takes into account a number of things. It's the people that are doing the work out on the road, and I've been in both positions. I've been in the position of doing the road work and finding the player that you think has either the traits or the physical skills or tools to become a good player that is off the radar. I've been a part of middle management, then I've been a part of the decision making. And the one thing that I've noticed throughout that whole process, it's never just one person that's responsible for that. And there's a lot of work that goes into it, Mitch, because the other component of that is not just finding the person, because generally those players are players that need to be developed. One of the most important things that we have started to do here is create a culture and environment for player development with our players. Teach them that it's not just on the field and extra work that we do on the field. Setting up systems of teaching players how to watch film, taking tests, setting them up where we have, again, the practice after practice, where players that are on scout team or on developmental squad or practice squad, we call it developmental squad, putting them in a position where they're not just running cards, where they've got to go run plays and do things as players to learn how to be football players. But then there's the off the field stuff, where we've got a player development department run by Katie Douglas, who sets the players up and does a tremendous job in teaching them how to not become the player 10 years from now that doesn't know how to handle it. Part of the commitment that I think that this group of people has here is to win football games the right way with the right kind of people, yet prepare them and teach them that the less noise that they have in their lives, the less noise they bring to work, which allows the whole program to be more successful.
To me, it sounds like you just described the 2010 class, not just the Lewises and the Berries and the Moiakis, but the Greenwoods, the Varan Tuckers. So can you replicate that in 2011?
We're sure going to try, and again, we'll see how that all works out. But here's what we know: we've even got some guys from the 2009 class. There's a young players like Darrell Harris who are getting better. Jake O'Connell's another player who's improved dramatically for us. And truthfully, I'll go back to the 2008 class. Even though the people that are here working within the football operation weren't a part of that draft, there were a number of players there who were very talented, who after 1 year were already beginning a slide into a not so good place. But providing a structure for them where the entire coaching staff and the rest of the football ops, where Todd and I set this system in place where they had no choice but to grow and develop as football players.
a good draft room on draft day? Phones ring and you're on the clock, things are going crazy. What's this team doing? What's that? Here's the board. What has to happen to make it a good draft room on draft day?
Preparation. The key to life is preparation and then opportunity. We don't know what the opportunity is going to be, but we know that the preparation is required. And we don't have chaos in our draft room. I've never been in a draft room where there's chaos, because if you prepare and are ready enough and also understand that there's something that's going to happen every single draft that was completely unpredictable and that you weren't prepared for, and it's how you handle those things is the most important. There will not be chaos in our draft. There will not be running around yelling, screaming.
How many times have you been reminded you have the 199th pick and the pick you took Tom Brady with back in the early 2000s?
It's come up once or twice. Yeah, it's a
so you're the 199
the 199th pick and the 21st pick, which I've been able to be a part of that a couple times in the past too. So
what do you do with the 21st pick?
Who's available?
I thought you'd tell me. I thought this would be the
I'll
year
tell you off
break.
camera, Mitch.
Yeah, okay. Right, like he's going to do that. Final question. It has to deal with, this has been an odyssey. I mean, since January of '09, we've talked many times about how you had to frame, reframe.
On the record and off the record.
On both. Where are we at right now?
This is far ahead of where we were in January of '09. Very, very far. And yet it's not even close to where we need to be even a good football team. But we've got a number of people in place. You can't just go from the bottom to good or great if you want to sustain it. We have made so much progress. We're in a good spot. We're on the cusp of becoming good, but this is an everyday thing. It's not just working hard for a couple of weeks and then sitting back and watching things happen, or working hard for a couple of months, or having a strong season where you win 10 games. You've got to go back to where the flaws are. And I think what we've done a pretty consistent job of here is looking at the things that we're not doing well and the things that we haven't done well, looking at the limitations more than we're looking at our strengths, because that's how, if you want to improve and sustain something, that's what I think we need to do. So the long-winded answer of saying we are better and we're not there yet. We have a big step to go to become good, and then worry about becoming great.